Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new Hammer video, and this time I'm going to do and we'll keep digging on the Dark Eldar codex, and I will analyze the Scourges. This is a fast attack option from the Dark Eldar that can have several configurations of weapons. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the different weapons. This was a request that I received in my channel, so I decided why not? Let's do analyze what is the best option for this unit, and let's compare the Scourges to some of the units that I analyzed before and some of the troops that I analyzed in the previous video. So these are the different configurations that I'm going to check. I'm going to check the Scourges basic without any upgrade, 5 of them, 5 Scourges with 4 shredders, 5 Scourges with 4 blasters, 5 with 4 highware blasters, with hit lance, splinter cannon, and dark lance. As you see, I don't use the Sibarit, so there are not upgrades like a sergeant or veteran, or there is not a character in that unit. I think the character here is just adding points for nothing. In case you have a different opinion, please comment, leave the opinion in the comments below. But for this purpose, I wanted to focus on the weapons that they can have, and I didn't want to start messing up with the character that they can take in that unit. As you will see in the analysis, I think the character in that unit is not adding value, because it's not the characters normally are adding more strength when you go in close combat. And if you want to add a character that have a blaster or a blast pistol in that case, you will spend a minimum 25 points additional just for the character with the blast pistol. You will see that after this analysis, this is not efficient from the point of view of Hammer. Of course, if you like to have the character with the agonizer and the blast pistol, I used it last time, and I will keep using most likely in the future because I like to have this character. But here my purpose is to analyze the unit from in terms of efficiency from the point of the Hammer and see what is more competitive than other configurations. When I do friendly games, sometimes I don't go for the most efficient unit, I just go for what I like to field sometimes. So if we look at light infantry, there are no surprises here. The best option are the option with Charbins. It is the most efficient and the most consistent. You can use splinter cannons, but if you move, as you can see below, if you move with splinter cannons, efficiency is dropping from 4 to 3, so it means that you are losing a lot of efficiency. This is why I will consider that the best option is to have Charbins if you go against infantry, and it's not worth to pay the points of the splinter cannon. If you want to take more risk, you can go with this Shredder. There is a short range weapon that is very efficient against light infantry. But if you take the Scourges, at least you want to be more efficient than some of the configurations that we have in troops, and we see that the warriors, the cavalry warriors with the splinter cannon, are as strong as the Scourges with Charbin, if not more, if not stronger. Also very strong, as you can see, the Trueborn with the splinter cannons. So if you're looking for an option against infantry and you have a lot of fast attack, I will not recommend to use the Scourges, although they are a good option. And if you go for that, just for the basic option, 5 Scourges with Charbins are quite strong. Okay, if we compare to other codex, we see that they are at the same level of purifiers, or how it's called, purgation from the Great Knight, with sea cannons when they remain stationary. Of course, the purgation will drop once they start moving. Again, if we compare to Chaos Space Marines, this unit is stronger, and the only thing that can be as strong as them is if we have cultists with flamer and shotguns, that then they are quite strong at short range. But overall, if we go for, I think if here the take, if we go for anti-infantry unit, especially if we are fighting light infantry like Imperial Guard or Orcs, the best option is 5 guys with Charbins. So now if we go to what options we have against heavy infantry, here what is interesting to see if the stronger weapons are better or worse than the Shervins, and we can see that the Shervins are still the strongest option together with the splinter cannon if they remain stationary. Again, cavalry warriors are as strong as they are, and the two one with the splinter cannons are also very strong. So don't take any upgrade if you want to go against infantry. Just use the Shervins. You can use some shredders if you want. They are adding a lot of punch at short range. I don't know if I will put 4 shredder. Maybe it's not needed. Maybe you can put 2, depending if you have 5 points to spend or not on the shredder. So against infantry, the best weapon is the Shervin and the shredder options. And we have the splinter cannon, but for a unit that have jump pack, I think it's not worth to pay a heavy weapon or a weapon that is salvo, because you want to move. You want to use the mobility to hold and to take objective. You want to move use the mobility to be in the best position. So this is why I think the best options are Shervins or Shervins combined with the shredders. If we compare to other codex, we see Purgation with 4 cannons is very similar, and also the Chaos Space Marines with 2 plasma guns are quite similar. In all the cases, we see some drop, especially if you have rapid firing weapons, you will see a drop at medium range. And now what is interesting to see is what happened with the monsters. So if we look at the monsters option, now we can see that it's almost the same that we have seen before. Shervins are very good. They are poisoned 4+ against monstrous creatures, and they deliver a lot of shots, but they are not better. They are not going to be better shooting monsters than cavalry warriors. So if you have cavalry warriors on a rider, they are also very strong against monstrous creatures. The advantage they have is they don't need to pay transport to be in the range for the Shervins. As we have seen before, and Trueborn with splinter cannons are the most efficient. So the same picture that we have seen or the same options that we have seen in the previous entries, we see here. So against infantry, the poison weapons are always better because of the quantity of shots they can do than all the special weapons we have. So of course the hardware blaster is going to be the poorest against this type of creatures, but even the Hill Lancers or the blasters are not at the same level of the Shervin. Okay, so and remember that this is divided by the points, of course, so this is normalized. But what means is that it is checking the efficiency per point. So doesn't mean that a unit of 5 blasters is killing less than a unit of 5 Shervins. It means that for the points that you invest, you are if you had invest 120 points in Scourges with Shervins, and you compare with the same unit with blasters or one, so that means that for 140 points, if you go against infantry against monsters, it's better instead of investing 140 points with the blasters, it's better to invest 140 points on only Scourges with Shervins if you have the miniatures. If we compare to other codex, we see that because the poison weapon, they are strongest. Dark Eldar are stronger than other codexes against monsters creatures. So this is why Tyranids and maybe demons suffer a lot against Dark Eldar, because Dark Eldar doesn't care about the toughness of the opponent. So, and then the same, I will not spend more time, same picture again, flying monstrous creatures. So summarizing, Shervins are the best option when we attacking infantry. So now we can go to light vehicles. This is going to be the next point to analyze. And once we will go to analyze light vehicles, here we see that the high-wear blaster is the one that will remove more hull points. So it's the most efficient weapon against light vehicles. At short range, it's as efficient as the Hill Lancers, but when we go to medium range, the the high-wear blaster is much efficient. And here I have to say that I did a trick. The lance normally is 0.9 for short and 9 to 18 for long range. So here I have to mention that I didn't respect my rule that I have to divide by 2 if I only arrive to 18. I just wanted to compare. I wanted to see who was looking like, and this is why I didn't manipulate these numbers here. So meaning that if we use the same calculations that I use in other weapons, this efficiency will even be lower than what you can see in that pictures. But for the purpose of this comparison, I think was good enough. Here we see that against light vehicles, if we compare now to the purgation, that in all the cases, Dark Eldar were at parity with the purgation squad. When they come to against infantry, we can find a unit that is in parity with the purgation squad. When we compare them to light vehicles, there is not a unit that is as efficient as the purgation. And here the main reason is Dark Eldar have a lot of weapons with poison and a lot of shooting, or then you have weapons that have only one shot but very strong. There are not much weapons, and I think the only one is the disintegrator that have higher strength and also a lot of shooting. And the strength of the disintegrators is only 5 and only can be taken on vehicles. So here we see that although the high wear is the best option, is half efficient than purgation squads of White Knights with sea cannons. Okay, and we see that this is what maybe dealing with light vehicles is maybe the weakest part of the Dark Eldar. Now, if we go to how to deal with heavy armored vehicles, here the Dark Eldar are not doing that bad, because they don't care, again, because of the special rules on the weapons, they don't care about armor 13 or 14. Normally the weapons have the same efficiency against armor 12, 13 and 14. And this is why we see that the high-wear blaster is maybe the most or one of the most dangerous weapon against heavy vehicles. So it have exactly the same efficiency that against light vehicles, because they always remove a hull point on 2+ and 6+ to do a penetrating hit. So we also see that hit lances are also quite good, especially if you can shoot them at short range. The problem here is that the short range is very short, it's from 0 to 9, so you have to be very close to your opponent to maximize efficiency. Then we see that the blasters, the 4 blasters, are not a good choice, as not efficient against was not as efficient against heavy vehicles, and was not efficient at all, neither was not the most efficient against light vehicles. So I will say, if you go for a unit that is anti-vehicle and you want a pure anti-vehicle, go for a high-wear blaster, but then you are dropping a lot against infantry. If you want something more compensate, you can use the hill lances, but then taking in mind that you have to be very close to your enemy to be efficient. Once you are at long range, and long range for that weapon means over 9 inches, that is 9 inches is quite close to your opponent, then that means that you are going to start losing a lot of efficiency. You see that the efficiency is dropping dramatically, especially against vehicles that have armor 13 or 14, although the hill lances always hit against armor 12, and this is considered in all. So I consider all the special rules in all these calculations. What I don't consider is the probability of killing in one shot, and of course in that case the hill lance can kill in one shot, while the high-wear blaster can never kill with only one shot. So high-wear blaster, very good removing hull points. Hill lances can be good if you want to have this lucky shot. I prefer not to depend on a lucky shot, and I prefer to depend on removing the hull points as the game is moving today. So if we look at shooting to flayers, here we see that is where maybe the Dark Eldar will suffer more when dealing with flying vehicles against flyers. Against flying monsters, you don't have a lot of issues. You have a lot of poisonic weapons that you can deliver a lot of shots and some sixes you will have. But once you go to against flying vehicles, you need some other options. So your weapons are not going to be very efficient against flyers. The highway blaster, yeah, you will have some possibilities to remove one hull point, but I think it's not going to be enough. So maybe you will need some other support, or you will need something to help you to deal with flying vehicles. Anyway, the best option is the highway blaster, and here the range is important because the vehicles are very fast, so it's very difficult to be at 9 inches to maximize the efficiency of the blaster. So I think it's better the highway blaster in that way. Take into account that I put the Dark Lancers in all these calculations. You can make a look and go back in the video if you want. If you want to look the efficiency of the Dark Lancers, but I don't mention in them. The Dark Lancers are not made for Scourges. First, you have to be stationary to have some efficiency, and once you start moving, you can see that the efficiency is dropping dramatically. Of course, you need sixes to hit then, and then it's when the efficiency is moving. Here there is a mistake. It should be the same efficiency against flyers and vehicles. What I mean is Dark Lancers against flyers, doesn't matter if you move or not, and here there is a mistake. The efficiency is always 0.3 against flyers, so don't take into account the line that is moved. This is a mistake that I did in that point of the table. If you compare, the other armies doesn't have. Here I don't have any anti-flyer unit that I put in the analysis yet, but you can see that even the purgation with 3 cannons are better than the Scourges. So if we summarize all the shooting in just one number, we see that one of the most efficient configurations for the Scourges are the Charbins. Okay, we see that all have dropped because the Charbins are very good against infantry, but they don't have anything to do against vehicles. We see that maybe the configuration that have better efficiency is the Splinter Cannon because they have more range than the Charbins. But once you move, also it's dropping a lot, and you want mobility. So if you see that more or less all the weapons are giving the same efficiency. I will say if you go against light infantry and anything that have toughness, use Charbins. If you want to go against vehicles, I will use the highway blaster and maybe the hill lancers. But hill lancers remind and ask you to be very close to your opponent. So the next thing that I want to check is the resistance of the unit. This is giving me a indication of what is the risk of fielding of using this unit. So what happens if I start losing this component? So you see that if we compare, for example, basic Scourges against basic Cavalry warriors, so the Scourges are less resilient or less resistance because for each loss I have, I'm losing more points. But on the other hand, the Scourges have better armor than the Cavalry warriors, so this is why it's a little bit compensated. If we go for the high wear option, we see that is in parity with the true bronze with hill lances, but it's quite lower than all the anti-infantry units. What is this number is telling me is that I have to be careful. These units are not very resilient, are alpha strike units, but are very easy to kill. So you will need, if you want them to survive, you need to be very selective where you put them. Maybe you have to add a character to give some, like a character like Archon with Shadow Field, something like that, to give them more resilient. If we compare against other options in other codex, we see that the cultists and the plague zombies are the more resilient because when you're losing one of them, you don't care. You have too many wounds to lose, and this is why they are so resilient. If we compare to Chaos Space Marines, the basic Scourges are in parity, but once we start equipping them, the resistance is start dropping. This means that we start losing more points for each loss that they have, and we don't have a good armor to compensate. So just as a watch out, we see that the option with Dark Lances are not giving anything. So you have to be stationary, and then is demanding a lot of points. So that I will forget options with demand heavy weapons, and you can see here. Also the option with Blaster, I think is not adding value. It's better to use Heat Lances, that the risk is less to if you start having losses, and it's demanding less points. So if we go to melee, here I will not spend. I just put melee because I want for completeness, but I will say you can see this unit in melee will do nothing. They are not made to work to be in a melee combat. They are only 5 guys with 5 attacks. They will not do anything. And this is why justifying that I will not put any character in that unit. What will add in that unit that don't have any punch in close combat to have 3 attacks of a character? And you can put, if you want, a power weapon, or you can use an agonizer. What will add? Once you receive the attacks back, this unit is going to be vaporized by most of the units. When I did this calculation, this unit is only able to deal with basic Imperial Guard without any upgrade. So this means that they are at the same level of Imperial Guardians. Don't invest points. I think you don't have to invest any point here in close combat. And this is why I don't think the upgrade for the character is worth it on that unit. And this is telling me another thing. If you use Heat Lances demands to be very close to your enemy. So this demands to be at 9 inches from your enemy. 9 inches from your enemy is at assault range. Because you can move 6. And then you only have a 3. Your enemy only have to have a 3 to hit you. And if you want to have the 4 guys at range, most likely you will be closer than 9, because because especially if you are deep striking, meaning that you are automatic at assault distance. If this unit is assaulted, it's vaporized. This is why I don't like the Heat Lances. I prefer the Highware. It's giving you more range. You can use better the cover. You don't have to be at range of assault. You can be farther than that. You can use the mobility to avoid to be assaulted by your enemy. So this is why I think it's better to use the Highware Blaster. The Heat Lance is going to be really an alpha strike assault. You arrive, you should do 1 round of shots, and then you will be assaulted. Because the enemy, if know how to play the Scourges, he will know that just assaulting with any unit he has in his army, the Scourges are going to be destroyed. So, and then again, I put here assaulting vehicles for completeness. The thing that we have to take into account, they have how it's called that, they have plasma grenades. So they can do some damage to vehicles, very limited if you are lucky, because the plasma grenades have a strength 6. So, but if you want, maybe you need to remove this last hull point, and you didn't manage with the Highware Blaster, maybe you can assault, and if you are lucky, you remove this last point. Remember that you don't want to be close on the other side to the enemy to avoid assault, to be assaulted by any other infantry unit. So this is why I consider that this is just for completeness. I see this unit hostigating your enemies from the distance, trying to try to be in the range of 18, where you are in range of your weapons, but your enemy cannot assault you easily, and in that way you are safe from the assaulting. And of course, if the enemy will shoot you and will disseminate completely the unit. So consider the Scourges will do a good round of attacks when they arrive, and the second round, and if they survive, the next rounds are going to be quite damaged. So are mainly alpha strike unit. Also take into account in return to the comparison between the Heat Lances and the Highware. If you arrive from deep strike and you don't have anything to be precise, Highware is giving you some margin of mistake. The Heat Lance will not give you, or you hit the point, or if you deviate, most likely you will be out of range, and then you will not be efficient as you want with your Heat Lances. So conclusions. The strength of this unit is in the shooting plus mobility. I think the strength of this unit is, or you start deploying on the battlefield in a point that nobody can see you, and then you move and you shoot, or you arrive in deep strike, but you use your mobility to be in the strategic position that you want, to avoid to be assaulted, and then use your shooting weapons to do damage. You have two configurations. You can go against light infantry with the Charbins. You can go against most likely any type of infantry and monstrous creatures with the Charbins, or you can have the unit specialized against vehicles, and in that case I recommend to use the highwire blasters. And here is my point. As normally the Dark Eldar army don't have any issue to deal with infantry and monsters. You will have hundreds of shots of poisoned weapons in your army. So I don't think when you have a unit that can be specialized anti-vehicle, I think you have to specialize this unit anti-vehicle. Because I think is the main or the most difficult part for the Dark Eldar is to deal with enemy vehicles, and especially against all the transports that sometimes we can see on the battlefield. So I will recommend to use this unit with highwire blasters, specialized anti-vehicle. And again, a reminder, avoid any close combat. This unit is not made to do any close combat. So these are all the points that I want. Here you see the conclusions now. So avoid any close combat. Use the strength of shooting plus the mobility to be in the right position. And I will recommend to use this unit against vehicles. So these are my conclusions on that unit. So just to finalize, thanks a lot for watching. Please leave your comment below. What is your share with me what is your favorite configuration for the Scourges, how you use them. I know that there's people that is preferring the heel lances. Let me know how you use them and why you prefer the heel lances. So and give your opinion, what do you think about the analysis I did here. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.